This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, www.reevesfirm.com.
In the know. Good evening, everyone. In the know. Tony Reeves, fire. Following the news in any way, shape, or form. No shortage of things to talk about. What does it mean? What will it bring? Is this a reality we simply have to accept? Tony Reeves, fire. Tony Reeves. Let's go ahead and get started.
Unique situations always occur during disability cases, but I always tell people there are a few that pop up that really kind of warrant our attention. And you would say, well, like what? Pregnancy. Okay. Now you ask yourself, why is being pregnant a unique situation? I'm about to get offended, Attorney Reeves, about to get offended. I'm like, no. That's not what I mean. Here's what I mean by a unique situation. A lot of times I've represented people who are applying for disability benefits, and let me stop right there. When I've represented women who apply for disability benefits, pregnancy presents a very unique challenge. And the reason why it presents a unique challenge is depending on the condition they have, whether it be a physical or mental condition, sometimes during the course of their pregnancy, the normal treatment regimen that they would have to follow if they weren't pregnant either changes or stops altogether. And you say to yourself, oh, so that's it. That's really the situation, is what happens during the disability process when you're pregnant. Because during that window, of course, if you're taking, I remember I represented a lady, great young lady and so forth, and she was on significant mental health medication, significant. Well, guess what? When she got pregnant, when she found out she was pregnant, the doctor took her off all of that medication. And so then what happened is that we had a longitudinal 2-year window where during that 2-year window, we had a 9-month stint where she wasn't on her medication. Not 9 months. I say about 7 months where she wasn't on the medication. So the important thing for me to communicate to her was, it is so important for you to find out from your doctors what you need to do to get back on your treatment, and how soon after giving birth can you get back on your treatment. And her situation was a little unique because she was still breastfeeding. So we had a 6-7 month window where she wasn't on a medication, and then another period of time where she still wasn't because she was breastfeeding. So of course you can imagine she was experiencing all kind of difficulties and so forth during that time period. But the moment that she was no longer breastfeeding, she went and she reestablished her care, like immediately. And so I tell people, stop. And I say people because I'm talking about husbands and wives. And let me rephrase that, partners. My apologies for being politically insensitive. I tell partners that it's important because actually I represented at least one couple, 2 women, and when she was going through that, I was telling her wife that I said it's important for her to understand that if her condition is something that is disabling, the moment she gives birth and she's able to kind of get her wits about her and so forth, and I'm not trying to say her wits are gone, but just in terms of once the child has come out of the hospital, mom's come out of the hospital, you need to talk to provider about what do you need to do in order to reestablish care for the same issues that you said that disables you. Because that window is really kind of, during that pregnancy is really kind of a smoke and mirrors type of thing, because you're not taking anything if the doctor takes you off everything. Now, I do tell people that during the pregnancy, it's important that the mother make sure she lets her OBGYN know about what treatment she was receiving for a condition, if there's any alternatives that she can take during that process, so that you can demonstrate to the Social Security Administration. Remember, all exhausting avenues. We talked about this in other videos about doing everything possible. So it's important to use this time talking to doctors about, one, is there any alternate or alternative treatments that can be utilized during this period of time when you're pregnant and immediately preceding it? And secondly, how soon after you give birth are you able to reestablish care, to reestablish the treatment that you had previously, so that you can demonstrate that you're disabled? I tell people when I say that pregnancy is a unique situation only because of the fact that typically when the woman is pregnant, the treatment regimen that she is on for her condition is significantly disrupted because of the fact you're looking at, in the best interest of the child and the mother for the life of the pregnancy. But it's important for you to understand and realize is that the moment that you need to make sure that before you, right when you find out you're pregnant and they start to wean you off or discontinue off your medications, you need to find out One, is there any alternatives you can do during that time period? And then two, how soon can you reestablish care once your child has been born? This way you can demonstrate again to Social Security that you have continued demonstrating your longitudinal care for your condition, and that you have adjusted for the fact that you've given birth to a child during this particular period of time. Because they're going to ask you how you were doing during that time period. So like, let's say that you have bad back's probably a bad choice because it's not uncommon for women to have back problems when they're pregnant. But let's say you have some mental health issues. Like in my client's case, we literally were able to go and demonstrate. She showed that before her pregnancy, during her pregnancy, when she was off medication, which is reasonable to expect, and then right when she went back on medication, her thing never really changed. She still has some significant problems, and it's important. Remember, you want to be able to control the narrative of painting the picture of your case. You don't want anybody trying to figure it out. So if the joys have been blessed upon you to bring a beautiful life into this world, it's important that you use the opportunity that once you have brought this life into this world, not only are you taking care of that child, but make sure we now start back taking care of you in terms of reestablishing care to demonstrate the
Tony Reeves, fire. Following the news in any way, shape, or form. No shortage of things to talk about. What does it mean? What will it bring? This is a reality we simply have to accept.